Good morning, my dear beloved students. Now we would like to discuss the incidence and impact of income tax in this video. Based on the residential status, we have to calculate the tax liability of an individual. Incidence means the total income of any previous year of a person who is resident or non-resident or not ordinarily resident includes all income from whatever source which is derived and is calculated in accordance with the provision of the Income Tax Act. Let us see in detail how the residential status reflect the tax liability of an individual based on resident, non-resident, not ordinarily resident. Okay. First one, that is as per the section 5(1) of Income Tax Act in 1961, that is deals with the resident assessing. We have three capacity: resident, not ordinarily resident, and non-resident. We are already discussed the status of residence or the residential status will reflect the liability of tax. We can see that when a person who is resident, his income includes whatever may be the source. First one, that is received or deemed to be received. That means received or deemed to be received in India during such year by or on behalf of such person. It's very simple. Received or deemed to be received in India is the first category of income which is taxable when a residential status is resident. Clear? And another one, that is income accrues. No need of receive. Income accrues or arises or deemed to accrue or arises. See the point, that it's very clear. First one, that is received or deemed to be received. Here it is, there is no need of receiving in India. Only need to accrue or arises or deemed to accrue or arises to him in India during such a year. Or is also taxable when the residential status is resident. And third one, that is accrues or arises. Here also no need of receiving. Only accrue or arises to him outside India during such year. So these three category of income are taxable when the residential status of an individual is resident. So the highest implication here, resident. When the residential status is resident, more is payable to tax. Clear? Three category of incomes are liable to pay tax. First one, received or deemed to be received in India. Second one, accrue or arises, deemed to accrue or arises to him in India. And third one, accrue or arises to him outside India. These three category of incomes are coming under the resident assessees. Okay. Then next, section 5 subsection 2, that deals with not ordinarily resident assessees. When the capacity is not ordinarily resident assessees, again three components of incomes are liable to tax. The first two items, that is purely same as in the case of resident. First one, that is income is received or deemed to be received in India in such year by or on behalf of such person. Same as in the case of resident assessee. Second point is also again same as in the case of resident assessee, that is accrues or arises or deemed to accrue or arises to him in India during such year. Or one more thing, one more point we have, that is, here there is a slight changes while we are comparing the third point of resident assessee. Here it is very clear, accrues or rises to him outside India only from business controlled in or profession set up in India. It's very clear. Aforesaid 2 points are very clear. It is same as in the case of resident, whereas this third point that is slightly changed from the second slide, there accrues or arises to him outside India during such year in the case of resident. Whereas in the case of not ordinarily resident, the third point that is very clear, accrues or arises to him outside India from only business controlled in or profession set up in India. Clear? So some sort of relaxation here for not ordinarily resident assessee. Clear? Then we move to the last implication, that is non-resident assessee. Section 5 subsection 3 of Income Tax Act 1961 deals with the non-resident assessee incidents. Only two categories of incomes are liable to pay tax. First one, that is received or deemed to be received in India in such year by or on behalf of such person, as in the case of two categories, same as in the case of two categories. Then second point, that is accrues or arises or deemed to accrue or arises to him in India during such year. These 2 points or 2 category of incomes are same as in the case of resident, not ordinarily resident, non-resident. So from this discussion it is very clear, the highest impact or incidence of tax liability is on resident, then it is on not ordinarily resident, then it is on non-resident. So it is just like a pyramid. The bottom level, that is resident, then not ordinarily resident, then non-resident. A person having the capacity of non-resident, he is liable to pay tax on 2 category of incomes, and not ordinarily resident somewhat more, and 3 category of incomes resident is liable to pay tax. Clear? So all of you please go through these materials, only because of it's a probable question for your examination. Okay, thank you. Let us conclude this video here. All of you please go through this material. Thank you to all. Okay.